Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Filmocracy podcast. This is a 4th of July edition, and we are very excited to be once again joined by our amazing co host, John Fitzgerald, CEO of iGems and all things independent film master of the universe. Hi, John.
I'm good, Paul. How you doing?
Just celebrating our independence and really trying to re examine where we are in America with all of this terrible SCOTUS news happening these days. You know, they say that we shouldn't have too many perspectives when you're a startup company, but this is like a non-negotiable. I think we stand very strongly that the SCOTUS is just basically destroying all of the work that we've done over the past 50 years. What do you think, John?
Yeah, it's bad news, man. Across the board, it's kind of twisted. We were talking earlier about just the irony of the 4th of July and Declaration of Independence and all that, and what it represents, and then this news that we kind of feared was coming about the overturn of Roe v. Wade, and been a lot of talk about it, and clearly they're blowing it, and there's been a lot of pushback. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on some of the pushback, and it's certainly interesting to see that these industry giants like Netflix, Disney, and Amazon are going to reimburse employees, and I thought it was worth bringing up because it's kind of big news.
Um, yeah, I mean, I imagine that as as the political environment keeps changing, I think there's a lot of stories that are going to be told. I mean, we have the January 6th hearings that are just unloading basically tons of content that can be totally used for many different projects. And I mean, I think we're going to see a lot more SCOTUS decisions, Supreme Court decisions that are just like mind blowingly, how can this be happening?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to like reveal the story, the behind the scenes story. I mean, a documentary about Clarence Thomas himself could be, its own series, right?
Yep. Yep. And speaking of documentaries and series, we did a fun collection. Well, we did one on the 4th of July, right? So we can't be all bummer and bad news today, but we did one for the 4th of July, but we also did one, um, that we're going to basically release tonight, called Right to Choose, Roe versus Wade. And you've got films like Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, terrific indie, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, uh, After Tiller, great doc called The Janes. So there's some terrific films that, if people really want to do a deeper dive into this issue and what it means, there's some great movies out there.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because like a lot of the tech companies and media companies have taken a firm stance as well, saying that they will allow their employees to fly to different states if they need to get medical attention um, for abortions and things like that. Um, but in terms of the content that they're going to put on the platform, I wonder how how far they're willing to go in terms of that type of content. Like, would they be willing to put like a very critical gun reform type film out there or TV series, like things that go against very big groups or big lobbies? I think it's one thing to offer to take care of the medical bills and offer to fly people overseas for their own operations, but to stand up against these really big organizations, I mean, do you see that as a possibility, or
Well,
there's
I think it's a great point, and I think we're going to see some interesting double-edged swords happening here, right? Because you've got companies like Netflix and Disney, polar opposites, and yet they're both standing firm on supporting women's rights issues and reimbursement for travel and all of this. And frankly, it's kind of a big step for Disney, right? Because Mickey Mouse, it hasn't always kind of been willing to take a stand on anything. they're
Yeah.
kind of wishy-washy. And so I think for them to step up is 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 a big gesture. The question that you just raised is in some ways even more interesting, right? In terms of content, because these are content providers. And I think that Netflix is certainly going to be a hell of a lot more willing to push the envelope than Disney.
Yeah. And I think HBO too. HBO kind of has that edge to them in terms of the content that they're interested in doing. But yeah, Disney, I don't really see it going on a Disney Plus or a Hulu streaming platform or a theatrical release at that.
Yeah, I think they might sneak some under the Hulu brand. I think that's one of the reasons why they kept it, so they could kind of put some of the more risque content over there, and kind of get away with it, right? Just like one step removed from the Mouse House. Um, I'm wondering, is it worth maybe sharing some of our favorite Fourth of July titles? Do you have any movies that you kind of break out or watch every year around this time?
I mean, I think there's one very clear winner here, and that's Independence Day.
Fair enough. I
List.
put it in the collection. I put it in the collection. It's in our newsletter tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, that was Will Smith at the peak of his powers, right? Really,
I forgot about that. Just thinking about
how
Will Smith.
far he has now fallen.
Yes. Yeah. And he can where he's gonna get his next job.
Yeah, so I would definitely have to say Independence Day is one that I'll rewatch. Um,
What about Jaws?
yeah, I'm
When's
not
the
the
last
big
time you saw Jaws?
a long time ago. I'm not the
Oh my
biggest
god, it's
fan
so
of
good.
Jaws. I
Oh
think
man.
I can see the the mystique and how great it was for its time period, but it's a mechanical shark here. So
Yeah, well, you from the younger generation, you're gonna nail the effects. But I just have to say that the performances and the dialogue, and I mean, just yeah, and that score, my God, John Williams. Have you ever seen that clip where it shows John Williams pulling Steven over, sitting at the piano, playing the da. He
no,
plays it for Steven. He's like, I don't know.
that sounds amazing.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. And then there's just that, there's the whole idea around, the mayor being the selfish ass that he is, saying, "No, there's no way we're closing down the beaches on the 4th of July. Doesn't matter if there's a shark out there eating our kids."
I mean, isn't that totally just emblematic of where we're at today?
That's right. That's right. But the other one we have to mention, just because Tom Cruise has just crossed the $1 billion mark this
I think
week,
that's his
right?
first time, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I
Just like
saw it
Tom
last
Cruise.
night. I finally saw it.
It took you that long to watch Top Gun. Wow.
Well, not the original, but the sequel,
Yeah.
um, Maverick. We just saw because, quite honestly, I am in that older demo, and going and sitting in a packed audience right now just
Yeah.
didn't seem necessary. So I waited a few weeks. So there are, maybe 10 people in the theater now, and it was much more relaxing for me. Have my cocktail and put my feet up on the rail and not worry about how many people had COVID around me. But Born on the Fourth of July was a great movie. I don't know that did he win for that. I don't think he won for that, but he was certainly nominated. Did he
Yeah, I don't
win
think
for
he
that?
won for that.
I feel like he was nominated, but he didn't win. Um, but he should have if he didn't. Another movie that's coming out now that I just got to give a quick shout out to, in the spirit of uh, celebration, is Hallelujah. Sony Pictures Classics. Leonard Cohen, A Journey, a Song. Can't wait to see that. Shout out to Jonathan Dana, one of our friends, who's I believe one of the producers on it. I'm going to definitely see that soon and in a theater, big scene, big screen, big sound.
Yeah, so clearly there's a lot of options here to choose for very patriotic movies. I was having a discussion the other day with my friend about, are all movies that include the US military propaganda? Like what is the like definition of propaganda in film? Because the US military has complete control, complete say over how you represent them, and you need to get their approval for a lot of things, especially if you want them to participate in like Top Gun. Obviously they needed their F-18s. So like they have complete say over how everything's represented. And isn't that kind of propaganda if there's not creative freedom there?
It kind of is, and I think if you go back into the dark ages and think about, old newsreels, I mean, certainly a lot of propaganda there. But then you look at movies like, Platoon, or what's the other big one that Oliver Stone did? I mean, he's like counter counter propaganda guy, right?
The George Bush movie?
I can't remember. I can't. Not JFK.
W?
Um, no, no, I can't think of it now. But anyway, you think about all the movies he did around war and the statements he makes and all the trouble he gets into. It's
Mhm.
almost like the flip side of that propaganda coin. Yet he's definitely got something to say.
Well, I think of course you can do things, but you're just not going to have the support of the military to like provide things for you. Like if you're doing a
Right.
documentary, like Michael Moore does a ton of stuff that's very critical, but he's not getting any approvals from the military.
Right.
Getting
He's not looking for
uniforms or
approvals.
tanks. Yeah. Yeah, it's just an interesting question. Like we're
Yeah.
so, as a society, we're so like, oh, we're so free here in the US, and look at China with all their censorship, and the Middle East with all their censorship. But this is also a little bit of censorship if you can't, you know, be completely free with your ideas and your intentions.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of freedom and intentions, uh,
Speaking of freedom.
I was just thinking of this movie. Were you able to queue up one of the other movies that's coming to streaming platforms, or it just came to streaming platforms this month? Is a terrific indie that has little stars and stripes in it. It's got America in the title. Played Sundance, a bunch of other festivals. I thought it'd be fun if we showed that trailer.
Let's give it a watch.
Cool.
Come on. Dance with me. I'm really glad you came to dinner.
What the fuck are you doing?
He was taking advantage of me.
Get out!
Hey, Mom, can I go see a rock show?
What's the group?
They're this really cool group. The music is almost educational.
I don't like the sound of this militia music.
Rock concerts are bad news.
They upped the reward. They said you assaulted some lady. Tried to burn her house down?
You see anyone suspicious running around back here?
You got someplace around here we can go? I needed a place to hole up. Your house is perfect.
You want to know my secret? I write John Q love letters.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I write him one every week.
Where's your fucking bathroom?
Buckle up! I drive fucking nuts! Microwave it, dumb it down! Pressure for you is turning brown! Poison veggies and plastic meat!
I want my motherfucking shit!
Around the table! Come at me, you fucking cocksucker! That makes it bad! Dinner time! Dinner in America! Dinner time! Dinner in America! Dinner time! Dinner in America!
You need to take it down a notch. notch, motherfucker!
Do you think I'm weird?
Oh, yeah, no, you're fucking weird.
Well, is weird cool?
In your case, no.
Wow. I'm not gonna lie, that's the first time I saw that trailer, and I'm going to watch this movie. That looks awesome.
It's good stuff. It's on Google, Vudu, Amazon, and Apple TV. So yeah, it's worth checking out this weekend.
Yeah, I feel my heart is pumping. The pace of that trailer was intense.
Yeah, it's intense. It's intense. Not for everybody, but it covers that whole freedom of choice thing in a
Yeah.
different way. Uh, Definitely a slice of Americana in a twisted way. But yeah, it's definitely a bittersweet weekend for a lot of us.
Yeah. Well, maybe that movie will help us all cope with the things that are happening. I hope everybody in America enjoys dinner with their families and watches this movie with their parents. It seems like a very family-friendly movie.
Definitely not for the little tykes. Definitely not for the little tykes. But we are going to barbecue here, and we will see fireworks. And yeah, celebrate the 4th of July. I don't know if I told you this, Paul, but a couple weeks ago, I was just outside looking in the window of
That's
the
creepy.
room where the well, no, where the
Whose room?
Declaration of Independence was signed.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty
Historical.
cool. Pennsylvania State House in Philadelphia. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. It's pretty
And
cool.
did you see Nicolas Cage stealing anything? No? Another great Independence Day movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
National
yeah.
Treasure.
National Treasure. Yep, yep. That's a good movie. My kids love that movie. I picked the other Nick Cage movie last week. Have you seen that yet?
The Incredible Burden of Overwhelming Talent.
Massive talent. Yeah,
Yeah. What did you
good
think?
stuff. I think it's good. I mean, you have to like Nick Cage to like it, I think, but it's fun.
I thought it was good. I thought it was very interesting though, because if he didn't have that like self-awareness twist to it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it would have been just like a straight action movie. And that as a movie is not very interesting. But them adding this like little piece of like
Yeah, it's the
piece of
meta
logic,
layer.
yeah, the meta layer, that really changes things.
Yeah.
And I think that's so interesting. And I hope Nick Cage makes a comeback because he's got the massive talent to back him up.
But bum.
I don't have my sounds queued up. There
Oh
you go.
no, we can't have the drum.
Oh, I have John. Not that kind of drum.
That was very 4 score and 7 years ago. That drum.
Yeah, it's like a build up. And you're about to announce something.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Awesome. Well, as always, fun to hang out and chat for a bit, Paul. Yeah, some good movies to see, and anything you want to share about Filmocracy coming down the pike?
I mean, we've got Filmocracy Fest. We've been talking about that for a few episodes. If anyone's in LA, definitely check it out, filmocracyfest.com. We'll have some gatherings. We'll have some great screenings. John, of course, is the grand curator of it all, so you'll be seeing a taste of his taste at the festival.
And the film market, yeah? Filmocracy Film Market.
Yes. Very excited for that, actually. I feel like I talked about that last time. But anyway, we have more than 40 executives coming this time, which is really impressive. We've got Disney Plus coming. We've got Sundance coming. I don't know how we got them, but they're coming. So it's a fantastic way to actually talk to a real person that you normally don't get the chance to. So definitely check that out. You can go to filmfreeway.com/filmocracy film market if you want to learn more.
I think the deadline's coming up too, right? Is it like next Tuesday, Wednesday? It's like
It'll
July
go
5th or something?
until the event.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. I wasn't sure if it was a deadline, like literally a few days away, but that's cool. We can keep it open longer.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Paul. Have a good barbecue.
Everybody eat lots of meat until SCOTUS bans meat, and we'll just twiddle our thumbs in the meantime. Goodbye, everyone.